you're gonna break into. On you.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talking Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening. Hope you're doing all right. Busy show schedule for today. As long as that bitch, Sandy, doesn't show up during the show. Last year we got it by her sister, Irene. And now Sandy's coming to wipe us out. So, just FYI, you know, if all of a sudden we are not on the airwaves, you know that we lost power and got flooded and all that stuff. It's coming. So, anyway, the show's being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you're looking for a limo, I'm looking for a limo. I need a hot limo driver to get me the hell out of Dodge right now. Where are you, Cat? Come and get me. You're my girl. 202-351-7496 is the number if you need a limo. There's only one place to call. That's Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service, 202-351-7496. Show's also being brought to you apart by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, these are the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Show's also being brought to you in part by my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Check them out, 518-792-4869. That's 518-792-4869. If you like great people, fantastic food, drink specials all the time, and live entertainment on Friday, Saturday nights. Halftime Bar and Grill is where you want to be. 518-792-4869. And don't forget, if you like hot sauce on your wings, and if you're a man or woman enough to try the Billy C. hot sauce, just ask Craig, because he's the only guy with the secret recipe. And as for that goes, his time limit's almost up anyway. I'm going to have to take care of him so he doesn't divulge the secret recipe. So check it out. Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glen 12. What? You want the number? 518-792-4869. Make a reservation if you want. And, of course, for your boxing equipment needs, there's only one place to go. That's ringside.com. That's right. Ringside.com. Give them a call. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you. And for all you gym owners or trainers that usually buy your equipment in bulk, make sure you drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I can get you bigger and better discounts other than just the normal Billy C discount. So, anyway, yeah, Hanging Fire is in the chat room. He's saying hurricane. We never even saw a hurricane in Tucson. The funny thing about it, Hanging, is, me growing up, I mean, obviously I live upstate now, but I'm from Long Island, which is getting hammered bad. But we never had hurricanes up here, ever. Upstate New York, you never had hurricanes, ever. I mean, come on, man. We also never had snowless winters either, and we're getting that. So, I don't know. Talk to Alex Papali, because he's got an answer for that. He says it's, what does he say, global warming on steroids or something like that. I got to get his line. I got to get his line, and I poo-pooed him. And now I'm like, maybe I was a little wrong. Poor Alex, one of our many arguments. Veins popping out of our heads and stuff. I just don't want him to pick when it starts raining. I just don't want. He was supposed to call me, for the last 3 days. He doesn't call, but you know what he's going to do. He's going to pick up the phone and call me just as it starts raining, and then that's what happened last time, man. Alex Papali called me, and we were talking on the phone. All of a sudden, I lost him, and then lost power, and I was out of touch for 3 days. And I think we had lost power for a whole week last time, but anyway, got some fights to talk about. Of course, some upsets, some stinkers that took place, some BS fights. I'm always saying about New York, right? New York State Athletic Commission, and they what pisses me off about them. They're bullies, right? I keep telling you about how bullies they are. And when you're trying to promote a show, right, and you're a first-time promoter and you don't have boatloads of cash like Golden Boy and Top Rank and, anybody else that, they like, they make it really difficult for you. And I was really anti this show that took place in Brooklyn, New York over the weekend. A young fighter never won any kind of a title, not even a worthless New York State belt. And, he puts out a pay-per-view, which I totally boycotted 100%. I hope nobody was stupid enough to buy that. But here's the best part. The New York State Athletic Commission, I guess they don't really like him as much because they canceled his main event the day of the weigh-in. And they had to scramble and get another guy. So there's a last-minute sub on that fight. To make matters worse, it's not only a pay-per-view, but they had to get a last-minute sub. Last minute. I'm talking last minute. So that, for the Billy C Challenge, that fight got scratched. So, I lost 2 of them this weekend, which I wasn't too happy about. But, anyway, ended up with 7. 5 out of 7. I didn't even tally up anything. Didn't even get a chance. So, but, hey, I appreciate everybody voting. We got some movement here with the time. And we're going to keep it on here one more week. I'm sorry it's floating around, but it's very important to us. So if you haven't had a chance to vote, if you could please take a minute and go cast your vote, I would really appreciate it. It's up on BillyCBoxing.com. Currently, everybody wants us to stay right now, as it sits. Everybody wants us to stay right where we are, 5:30, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. 41.7% of you want us to keep it where it's at, for whatever reason. It's not like the chat room is loaded with people. I mean, the last few days we've had a good group of guys in there, but I would love to have 20, 30 people like we had when we broadcast a later time. But for whatever reason, and I value your input from everyone, 5:30 to 7:30 a.m. is winning 41.7%. The next one in line is 8 to 10 p.m. The one I thought was going to win, but hands down, 25%. 6 to 8 p.m., 16.7%. 7 to 9 and 9 to 11 both are tied at 8.3%. And 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. and 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. are also both tied in last place at 0%. So, do me a favor, please, cast your vote. Coming up later this week, we got the blast from the past, if weather permitting. Sugar Ray Robinson, arguably the best fighter of all time. Alex and I are going to be talking about him. Also, I hope to kick off a new segment. It was a recommendation from a listener. We are going to be doing a new segment featuring the Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year, and we're going to do it chronologically. So, whoever won the first and second and so on and so forth. So we're going to be doing those, kicking it off with one that there is absolutely no video on. So we're going to be kicking that off this week. And also, you'll see we got the blast from the past. We got George Tananapa, the Comanche boy, undefeated middleweight contender, recently signed with Star Boxing, Joe DeGuardia Star Boxing. So he's scheduled to join us tomorrow. So, hey, I got to take a break. When I come back, I got a few emails. It's coming up in about 2.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IDO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the #15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IDO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the #15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching a replay on LDL TV. Glad you could join us. We getting ready to get hammered. No, I don't mean I don't mean I'm breaking out my bottle of Pinch Scotch or Dewar's 12 or anything else you want to send me. I mean, getting hammered with the Storm, yeah. The Storm, Sandy, that bitch. She's coming. She's the oldest sister, apparently, of Irene, who beat the shit out of us last year. Oh, am I allowed to say that? Oh, sorry. But anyway, got a couple of emails. And, we're talking about this. It's not that, man. It's not, you can't blame. I'm going to talk about the Delorme fight, and, that's coming up in a minute. And J-Man is in the chat room, and I made a statement in there. I typed something that I'm going to talk about. And he was, blaming it on Gary Shaw. Now, the big fat walrus, haven't called him that in a while. I'm not just blaming him, because he's not the only one doing what I'm going to criticize this fight on. It's the blueprint. We've been talking about the new blueprint in boxing, and we got to see the exact result of what happens when you use the blueprint. But hang tight, hold that thought. Let's get these emails out. James Keister says, I have my memory of Manny Stewart. He says, it's still, what a sting. I normally, I got to be honest with you. When HBO or even Showtime, they do these fights. Usually the fights are on late at night or whatever. And because of my hours and the time that I get up early to prepare for this show and everything, I'm usually up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Most of you guys are just going to bed. So, my schedule's a little whacked out. So, a lot of times what I do when I can, if we're going to do a post-fight show, it's a different story, of course. But when I can, I DVR the fight and then watch it 3, 4 in the morning when I wake up every day. Normally that's just what happens. I just get up and I watch the fight. And the thing is that you look at these fights. I don't even know what the hell. I know what I was saying. And normally I fast. I almost lost my mouth. I need another cup of coffee this morning. Usually I fast forward everything but the fights. I don't want to hear them talk. I don't want to see any specials. I don't want to see what's coming up on the HBO, whatever. But in lieu of Manny Stewart, I watched their little tribute to him. And what a loss the sport of boxing has, and it still stings, man. It really does, especially for those of us who knew Manny personally, and it wasn't like him and I were great friends, but I did get to meet him personally several times, and he was one of the first major guests we had on this show, going back. We're in our 10th year, there's there's not another boxing talk show. I don't care, who claims they've been around longer or whatever. I want to see proof that there's been any boxing show on a daily basis. Well, forget that. Even not a daily basis, but for more than 10 years, I don't think there is anyone. But he was one of the first major guests we had, so it still stings for all of us. James Keister says, I have my memory of Manny Stewart. He says, and I just read this during a break, and I remember this distinctly too, and I can't believe I couldn't think of anything about Manny Stewart last week. But James says, I remember when Humberto Soto knocked out Francisco Lorenzo down for a legitimate knockout, but because Soto's hand literally skimmed Lorenzo's head during a natural follow-through, Cortez disqualified Soto. He says Manny Stewart freaked out. There were actual tears in his eyes as he explained to the viewers, this isn't what boxing is supposed to be about. Make no mistake, it wasn't that he wanted Soto to win. He wanted the guy who earned the win to win. And I remember that. And I remember another incident where he was really pissed and almost tears came to his eyes. And the compassion that Manny Stewart showed for the sport of boxing was genuine. And it was something that I'm definitely going to miss. And, it's funny that, the powers that be in boxing, or at least whoever you pay off to get into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, induct Joe Cortez. And, we can go and start reciting all of these F-ups that Joe Cortez made throughout his career. And this is a guy who has been inducted into the Hall of Fame as a referee. It is ludicrous that the sport of boxing is honoring a guy like Joe Cortez by putting him in the Hall of Fame. He's already in the Hall of Fame, and putting him on TV as to get his opinion. This guy is one of the worst referees this sport has ever seen, and here's just another example where he disqualifies Humberto Soto for the natural 1-2, following through, and while Lorenzo's down. It gets disqualified by Cortez. Joe Cortez set this sport back. Really, he did, with his lack of knowledge. I honestly don't think he knows what the hell he's doing. That the fight that sticks out. I mean, that was one, but the fight that really bothered me the most with Cortez was the Mayweather Hatton fight. I'm not saying that Mayweather wouldn't have beaten Hatton. I'm sure he would have. Because it just he would have at that time, but Cortez took away Ricky Hatton's only shot, an inside fight. Took it away right away. Bam! You can't fight on the inside. Every time you try to go inside, I'm going to break you up, and that's what he did. Anyway, great email, great memory from James Keister on Manny Stewart. My next mailbag comes from Michael Parmalee. Parmalee is a guy that used to contribute for us down in Australia. Haven't heard much from him until this email, and he says, "Hey Billy C, after listening to your show yesterday, I've decided enough is enough." He says, "You said that you will not put Donaire ahead of Rigondeaux in your rankings due to the fact that Rigondeaux has been in that division longer. What a ridiculous statement. So why then do you have Rios ranked higher than Zab at junior welterweight? Zab has been at that weight class for longer. Look at Donaire's resume and compare it to Rigondeaux's. You can't compare. Donaire knocked out Darchinian, who you like. He's saying this to me. Knocked out Montiel when he was ranked number 8 pound for pound at the time. Had a one-sided fight for Navarez, who you like. Beat Wilfred Vasquez Jr., who you like, and then knocked out Nick Ashoka, who was considered by many to be the top guy in that division. So why aren't you going to give him the credit because he's handing down beatdowns on fighters you like? He says, you said before the Nick Ashoka fight that it was going to be close, and if Donaire beats him easy, then it will show Donaire's class. Well, it was a one-sided fight, but you still won't give him the credit. I've been listening to your show now for about 5 years, and you've always done this with fighters you seem to have a personal dislike to, like Bernard Hopkins, Mayweather Jr., and Larry Holmes. Come on, man. Donaire proved you wrong, and now you need to accept it like a man and quit crying about his personality because it has nothing to do with his fighting ability. And then he says, cheers. Wow. Jeez, Mike. First of all, let's make no mistake. It has nothing to do with my dislike for Donaire because I happen to like Donaire. I don't have any dislike for Donaire. Mayweather Jr., yes, I dislike him. Larry Holmes, the reason you're throwing things in my face that have no bearing on what you're saying, and as far as Mayweather Jr., I've given Mayweather Jr. all the accolades I could possibly give when it comes to his fighting ability. Now, I'm not going to deny my feelings. And by the way, this is an opinion show. So my opinions are my opinions. End of story. I'm not crying about anything. All right? That's number one. Number two, Mayweather, I give him the credit for his talent. All right? That's that. Now, do I like him personally? Absolutely not. As far as Larry Holmes goes, and my whole thing about Mayweather is I just don't like the man. As far as Larry Holmes goes, it was the same thing. But I got to watch Larry Holmes live. Did you, Mike Parmalee, or are you just watching video footage or whatever? I watched him live when he was fighting, and all he did was complain and cry. That is what I have a hang-up with. When fighters demand respect behind a microphone, that's what I have a hang-up with. It has nothing to do with who beat who or whatever. Now, as far as Nonito Donaire is concerned, I'm not going to take a guy and put him in at number 1. I have him ranked at number 2. I'm looking right at the rankings, and our Billy C Boxing rankings in the junior welterweight division. I'm sorry, in the where the hell is he? In the What division is he in? Featherweight. No. Junior featherweight. I'm sorry. I don't know how to know on the wrong page. Junior featherweight. I have Guillermo Rigondeaux first. I have Nonito Donaire second. Now, the way it used to be was, I believe, Toshiaka Nikishoka was ranked at number 2, and Nonito Donaire was ranked at number 3. We had Rigondeaux ranked at number 1. Now, this statement that you said about me, you thought I made a ridiculous statement because he was in the division longer. No, I don't think it's a ridiculous statement. And you also threw in about the Bam Bam Rios. The Bam Bam Rios situation is, when we look at the layout. Of course, I have him over Zab Judah. Who's Zab Judah beaten? I brought Brandon Rios because my rule is the guy who beat the guy. You forgot that part, Mike. Our rules for ranking is the guy who beat the guy, Mike. So Brandon Rios beat the guy, Mike, who was at number 5. That was Mike Alvarado. Bam Bam Rios beat that guy, Mike. So that's why we put him in at number 5. It's the guy who beat the guy, Mike. Okay? And Zab Judah didn't move. He didn't move. He stayed right where he was. He didn't beat any of them. So that's not even a relative statement. All right? Now, as far as getting back to Nonito Donaire, we moved up to number 2. He beat the guy. He got to number 2, Mike. He beat the guy. That's the way the rankings work. What do you want me to do? Throw him in at number 1? He didn't beat that guy yet, Mike. Guillermo Rigondeaux is number 1 in my rankings. He's number 1. We don't have any affiliation with any kind of sanctioning body or anything. We're ranking him the way we see it. And once we put a ranking in there, the only way you're going to move up or move down is if you beat the guy who beat the guy, or if you lose to someone else and someone else wins. I can't automatically move Rigondeaux down just because Nonito Donaire beat Nikishoka. We didn't have Nikishoka above Guillermo Rigondeaux. So we moved Nonito Donaire where we felt he belonged, at number 2. Hold that thought. I'm not done.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy
What?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech.
Leave.
What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. If you don't have Fight Now, call your local television provider and tell them you want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the channel, look on their website, www.fightnow.com. I'm in the middle of the emails, and I got one from my man, Mike Parmalee from Australia. I know he's doing a lot of good stuff in the sports industry. A good kid. We had him doing some stuff, then he dropped off to the face of the earth until I am reading his email. He's calling me a crybaby about Nonito Donaire. He wants me to look at his resume and compare it to Rigondeaux's, and he feels that I should have Nonito Donaire above Guillermo Rigondeaux in our ratings, which the Billy C Boxing ratings. We have Guillermo Rigondeaux number 1, Nonito Donaire number 2. And, our criteria for rankings is the first and foremost is the guy who beat the guy. Unless you're not fighting, if Guillermo Rigondeaux doesn't fight and Nonito Donaire, let's say, fights again before Rigondeaux fights, which he very well may. He's fighting Jorge Arce, and he knocks out Arce, then maybe I do a flip-flop at that point. We'll see what the panel says. We'll see what our panel says. But nobody in the panel wanted to put Donaire above Rigondeaux. No one did. No one voted for Donaire above Rigondeaux. He's suggesting that I only put Bam Bam Rios ahead of Zab Judah because I like Bam Bam Rios. So, he's actually, tainting our rankings, which is BS. I guess he doesn't understand the rule. Rule number 1, the guy who beat the guy. Bam Bam Rios beat Mike Alvarado. That's why he took his spot. Nonito Donaire beat Tokashaka Nikashoka. That's why he took his spot at number 2. I'm not just going to move a guy up for no reason. Now, with that said, I don't have a problem with moving Nonito Donaire to the number 1 spot without beating Guillermo Rigondeaux. It comes to a point where if Nonito Donaire, like he's scheduled to fight in December, if he fights again and Rigondeaux does not, then I would move him up because I don't have a problem moving fighters up and back and forth and side to side or whatever. He says that Mike thinks that I'm anti Nonito Donaire because I don't like his personality, which is also false. So he says how long he's been listening to the show, but I guess he doesn't really listen. He just assumes. And you know what they say about assuming. The bottom line is I don't have anything against Nonito Donaire. What I've said negatively about him, I can't even say it. Can't even say negatively. Negatively is what I'm saying. What I've said about him negatively was the fact that, he doesn't seem like a stand-up guy is all I said. I've never met him personally. I met his dad. His dad didn't have that great many things, too many great things to say about him at the time. They were not talking. Didn't have too many good things to say about his wife. But the bottom line is Nonito Donaire has done this. He's kicked trainers to the curb with no reason. He's tried to sign with multiple promoters for when he still had a contract. That's my hang up on him. I think he's a prima donna. That's all. But as far as his boxing ability, I think that he's got one huge flaw. And that flaw is that unless you fight his game, he makes it a boring fight. The other thing that I kind of chuckle about with Mike Parmalay's email is he says, Donaire knocked out Darchinian, who you like. Yes, I do like Darchinian. He knocked out Montiel when he was ranked number 8 pound for pound at the time. I thought that was an exciting knockout. Nothing for nothing, but how come I don't get any, parentheses about that one? How come Mike Parmalay didn't give me any kudos for that one? Go back and listen to the shows. If you're a premium podcast subscriber, go back, go listen to the shows. Didn't I give Donaire all the accolades for destroying Fernando Montiel? Come on, man. He says he had a one-sided fight with Navarez, who you like. Time out. When did I ever say I liked Omar Navarez? I mean, Marty Mulcahy liked Navarez. And the Navarez fight was another example of Nonito Donaire not being able to bring the action. He was waiting for Omar Navarez to come after him so he could counterpunch him. And Omar Navarez never did it. So, okay. I mean, I don't have anything against Omar, but, you're putting in parentheses that you like. Beat Wilfredo Vasquez Jr., who you like. Yeah, I like Vasquez Jr. because he's had no amateur background. I like the blue-collar fighters, man. I like the guys that are real deal. Vasquez Jr. has been in some tough fights. I picked against him for years. And that fight was close, by the way, remember? At least by the scorecards. I thought Donaire looked good in that fight. So I don't know. And his whole thing about Nikoshoka, who was considered by many to be the top guy in that division, wasn't in our rankings. He was number 2, and that's where I put Nonito Donaire. So I do give him credit. I disagree. Now, he says, you've always done this with fighters that you have a personal dislike for, like Bernard Hopkins. Now, the thing about Bernard Hopkins is forget about my personal dislike about him. I like to rank fighters for what they do in the ring, not what they used to do in the ring, like Bernard Hopkins. I'm not going to put him high in the rankings because he was at one time a great fighter. I'm not going to put Floyd Mayweather at my pound-for-pound ranking number 1 because he's undefeated and he's been there forever. He's just not busy enough. That's why I switched that around. And by the way, I say we are ranking. And by the way, he criticized me, and I think he's saying because we had Nonito Donaire at number 8, because I don't give a crap about anybody else's rankings. We only go by ours. It's the same thing with Ring Magazine. They only go by theirs. How do I give a fighter credit that's ranked, number 5 by one of the sanctioning bodies when you never heard of the guy? All of a sudden he comes in out of nowhere. Tony Grano. All I could say is this: Tony Grano is ranked at number 5 by the WBC. How do I give that any ranking? How do I give any value to that, Mike? Come on, man. Come on, you're reaching here. You love Nonito Donaire, and you didn't like what I said about him because I thought he was could be better. That's all. I don't have anything against Nonito Donaire. I want to see him fight. I just wish he wouldn't have fought Jorge Arce. I think he does need to fight Guillermo Rigondeaux. That's it. And I think, you want to hear this? I think he beats Rigondeaux. Okay? Yes, I said it. I think Nonito Donaire beats Rigondeaux because of his punching power and his hand speed. Not that Rigondeaux doesn't have it, but I think that Nonito Donaire beats him. At least if I had to, somebody asked me to pick him right now, I would. So you got me all wrong on that one, Mike. And by the way, as far as pound for pound, when I was finishing up with this email, the pound for pound rankings, we had Nonito Donaire ranked at number 8. This is true. We did have him at number 8 at one time. But guess what? He's at number 6 right now. He's at number 6 because of his So Mike Parmalay's gist of his emails, I'm not giving him any credit. We move him up in our pound for pound rankings, and we put him in the spot on the guy who beat the guy in his division of the junior featherweight division. So I don't know. He's just I guess he's got a hang up because we don't have him ranked at number 1. Over Guillermo Rigondeaux, and until he beats Rigondeaux or until he fights again, he's not getting the number 1 spot. And by the way, just so you know, Mike, so you understand how rankings actually work, at least ours, we had Nick Ashoka at number 2, and we had Nonito Donaire at number 3. That was the way we had it. We put Nonito Donaire at number 2 because he beat Nick Ashoka. But because he knocked out Nick Ashoka, we moved Abner Mares up to number 3. So, we did have substantial movement in the junior featherweight division in our rankings. Now, we did not move Nick Ashoka below Matthew Buehler because Matthew Buehler was just knocked out by Nonito Donaire, as was Nick Ashoka. That's why those two were at number 4 and 5, respectively. So, that's that. So, appreciate the email, Mike. Glad to hear from you, but you got me all wrong. We got another email. This is going to be a different. This is going to be different than an email because our man Dan the Man, he's a writer for us. He's got his own column, the British Boxing Report or British UK Scene or whatever the column is. And he's been coming up with some inside scoops. He emails them to me, and they get lost into the email, into the mailbag. So this is going to be more like a boxing buzz type of a thing. Dan the Man's Boxing Buzz. He's got a couple of things he wanted to fill us in on. And last week he said that there was some strong rumors about Tyson Fury fighting Dennis Boistov, which I absolutely love. And he says the rumors regarding fighting Boistov are now getting a lot more serious. He says people involved with the Fury can't believe that it's going to be the next fight. They claim that Boistov is his first choice, and Grano is the backup guy if it falls through. He says, I got confirmation that Mick Hennessy is in negotiations with Dennis Boistov as we speak. Hopefully this fight is made. He says they also sent me some pictures of Fury, and the guy's looking like he's in great shape. You know what? I wish nothing but the best from. Thanks for the inside scoop. That's Dan the Man Henderson. Check out his column on BillyCBoxing.com. That's the main thing is, I want to see fighters fight, the best opposition they can when they're ready for it. Obviously Tyson Fury has been moved along. When you look at our heavyweight rankings, we do have Tyson Fury ranked at number 5. Now, Dennis Boistov is actually ranked at number 11. Now, he was in the mix at one time, but David Haye got a fight under his belt, and Boistov was injured. So that's why he kind of dropped down to another number 11. So we got Tyson Fury and Dennis Boistov ranked at number 10 and 11. So that's a good fight right there. The fights that took place this weekend, the first and foremost fight, Luis Carlos Abregu. He improved to 31-1 with 30 of his big wins coming by knockout, and he had 29 going into the fight on Saturday, and he came out with 30 because he knocked out ranked number 1 by one of those sanctioning bodies that Mike Parmalee supports, I guess. Ranked number 1, and Thomas Delorme being regarded as the next best thing since the sneakers were invented. Gets knocked out in the 7th round. Now, he was up on his feet, and he did appear ready to continue, but his own corner stopped the fight. They knew this guy was taking some shots. Max Kellerman made some interesting points during this fight, and he was right. Max has been dead nuts on lately, man. He really has. And, one of the things he said was, Delorme gets up, and, he's getting rocked with these shots, and he looks stunned. And he says, and I could tell he's stunned because his eyes just kind of like fading off into another direction. And as soon as he said that, I rewound it, and I started watching it over and over. And I'm like, he's right. Every time Delorme got a good shot, he kind of like was spacing out and looking somewhere else. And, subsequently got nailed again, Abregu comes in as a guy that was supposed to be a stepping stone to get Delorme in the mix for a world title fight, except he came in there and beat Delorme to the punch. This is listen. I started to say a little earlier in the okay. So now we got some comments on the Rigondeaux Donaire thing in the chat room. Now, first and foremost, They're talking about Nick Ashoka is a joke. I don't know about that. I don't know if Nick Ashoka is a joke, Coach. I mean, how can you say that? I think he was a quality fighter. I know he was trying to retire, but Coach says Grano's not in the top 50. I agree with him there. Coach has seen him fight like I have. He also, J-Man says Rigondeaux kills Donaire, and Coach say no way Rigondeaux kills Donaire. And Jay says, well, he beats him then. And Coach is responding saying, I have it a toss-up going into the fight. I agree with Coach, man. I have it a toss-up. And, I'm aggravated about the email because, what are you supposed to do? You can't rank fighters whether you like them or not. And he's accusing me of that. If that were the case, I wouldn't even have Mayweather in my top 10. I hate the guy. So, you have to put it aside when it comes to that. And I try to. And I definitely feel I do. I'm not going to put Nonito Donaire ahead of Rigondeaux until one of two things happen. Either he beats Rigondeaux or he fights two fights when Rigondeaux doesn't fight any. Now he's got one under his belt, a good one, a win over a top guy in Nick Ashoka. So, should Rigondeaux, which I don't think is scheduled to fight, at least off the top of my head, I don't think he's scheduled to fight before Nonito Donaire fights again, and then maybe we flip-flop him at that point. But anyway, getting back to Abregu, he won. I mean, he was knocked out in this fight. Here's the thing. We've been talking about this for a long time. And the BluePrint today, and I was saying this in the chat room, it made me, going in. Yeah, I understand what Coach is saying. He's saying he retired before the fight was signed. He's talking about Nick Ashoka. Yeah, he did. And it wasn't a joke because he did try. It wasn't like he didn't try. But he was considering hanging him up, and he got the offer to fight Nonito Donaire, and he took the money, came to the States, and brought his wife, had a nice little vacation, took a beat, and then went home. But anyway, I picked Delorme to win the fight, so I was wrong, like everyone else. We all picked Delorme. And the reason was simple. Abregu was a tough guy, but I thought Delorme was the real deal. Now, young fighter, had a well-decorated amateur, the whole nine. But here's the thing. This was a typical guy that followed the blueprint of what today's managers, promoters, and fighters themselves do for themselves. They pad their record with really less than stellar opposition, and I'm being kind. They fight these fights. They get some money behind them. They get on TV a couple of times. Delorme, has a promoter that's got connections with television in Gary Shaw. And, he's become known. We know who he is. We do, the diehards. I mean, you talk to anybody Monday morning at the water cooler talking sports, nobody's going to know who he is. But, but here's the thing. When you really look at it, now, with all of this that I'm about to say, I was wrong too. All right, so I mean, we're all wrong. We thought this guy was better than he was, but let's really take a look now as we play Monday Morning Quarterback. You can really take a look at this about his look at his record, and the first several fights were all against bums, opposition. I mean, that's how you build it up. His first 10 fights or whatever. But in 2011, he started to step it up a little bit. Now, Guillermo Valdez, he fought in March of 2011, had a 12-2 record. Now, if you look at Valdez's record, that was looked good for Delorme because he had a 12-2 record, but Valdez never fought anybody, no one. So people look at his record and say, "Oh, he's only 12-2. That means he's a good fighter." That doesn't mean that. His next fight was against Harrison Coelho, and also in 2011. And as a matter of fact, I was at that fight. That one was in Foxwoods. I think Coach was at that one too. And he knocked out Harrison Coelho in the second round. I thought Coelho was going to give him a tough fight because Coelho is a tough guy, ESPN fighter. He's been in a lot of really tough fights, and Delorme knocked him out like he was supposed to. He also beat a faded DeMarcus Chop Corley, who's probably the best fighter he's faced in his whole career, with the exception of Abregu on Saturday night. So he won a 10-round decision against him. His other two good opponents on paper was Charlie Jose Navarro, who he fought at the end of 2011, won a 9-round unanimous decision against him. Another one of those WBA sanctioned fights, 9 rounds. He also fought in the beginning of this year, in February, he fought Aris Ambrose, who on paper has a good record, 16-2, blows him out in 1 round. Really, those are the only 2 fights that, with the exception of DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley, that were against decent opposition. His last 2 fights this year, in June and August, were against, guys that were just barely over 500. Alberto Herrera was 8-6-1. He beat him in 7. And Yorli Estrella was 10-7-2. Struggled with him. Went 10 rounds with him. So, I mean, the bottom line, what does it all mean? It means that when the promoters and the managers and the fighters of today, follow that blueprint is, don't put him in with anybody tough. Let's keep his own in line. We'll get him a couple of TV gigs. Have him win these fights. We'll put him in with a name guy like they thought with Abregu. He gets a win, and he'll get a world title, and then we can make some money. That is the game plan. That is the blueprint. And listen, my friends, that is the mistake that they're making now, because here's what happens. Is Delorme done? Is he finished? No. He's a fighter. He's not finished. But he wasn't ready for this fight. He wasn't ready for a fighter like Abregu, who had, 34 fights going into it. 34 fights going into this matchup with Delorme. 34 fight veteran. That's still only 28 years old. So it's not like he's an over the hill guy. Granted, his last several fights were all in Argentina against a questionable opposition. But guess what? That was after he went the distance with Timothy Bradley. I said on Friday, look at some of the guys he fought. Irving Garcia is a tough fighter. He definitely had the tougher resume. So you don't coddle a fighter like Delorme and judge him by his gym performances, his workout performances, and feel that all of a sudden he's ready for a guy like Abregu. And then here's what happens. He loses. Now, I picked wrong, too. I thought he was ready. But here's what happens. Now, when you're a promoter, manager, and the fighter yourself, and you're protecting yourself to get you lined up for these money fights, and this happens, now what do? You got to go back to the drawing board. You just catapulted the opponent into the shot that you wanted. And by coddling your fighter doesn't help you. Now, if Delorme won, like I said, I'm playing Monday morning quarterback here. If Delorme won, everybody gives Gary Short a pat on the back. You're the man. You're going to get a world title shot. But let me ask you, if Delorme couldn't beat Abregu, what makes you think he would have won the title? And if I'm a fighter, and if I'm a promoter, and if I'm a manager, I want my fighter prepared so that when he gets his shot, he hangs around for a while, that he's not a one-and-done guy, that, he fights and he's a real deal. You look at Antonio DeMarco, a guy who's fighting Adrian Bronner next. Bronner doesn't know what he's in for, man. This guy's a tough guy. This guy's been around. This is a grizzled veteran. This isn't going to be a cakewalk for Bronner. I'm telling you. It's not. And, I think Delorme learned a valuable lesson here. When I bring my fighters up, when I advise my fighters, when I manage my fighters, I want to progressively increase their level of opposition. Why? So you can see what you have. I'm not saying put him in with a killer. I'm saying progressively increase his level of opposition. Did we see that with Delorme? We saw him beat Chop Chop Corley. But then we saw him regress with his level of opposition, until he stepped in the ring on Saturday night. You can't overprotect your fighters. Look at Bye-Bye Jennings, Bryant Jennings. This kid, I'm not saying he's going to be a world heavyweight champion, but if he is, he's going to be there for a while. This guy's been fighting some top level opposition, for a young kid that's got 20 fights or less. He's been fighting some pretty tough fights. So I mean, look what happens with some of these fighters that are caught. We're going to see it happen with Demetrius Andrade. He hasn't fought anybody. Seth Mitchell, he's increasing his level of opposition slightly every time. Listen, the BluePrint works when you can con a network into letting you fight a tomato can and make some money. Apparently, all the powers that be thought Abregu was that patsy for Thomas Delorme. Didn't work out. He didn't read the script, and I'm curious to see what the suits at HBO think today. But anyway, listen, we got a couple of more fight results to go through, several more, and some other news about people trying to collect money and everything else. All of that's coming up in about 2.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out the ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now, call your local television provider and tell them you want it. All the information about the channel can be found on the website, www.fightnow.com. My man Coach says it perfect. First of all, he made a weird statement. He says Michael Jennings is a gatekeeper. I don't know why he's I don't know why you're saying he will be a gatekeeper for a long time. I think he's not only a contender, he's a hot prospect right now. Coach also goes on to say Michael Jennings would be a great fight against Seth Mitchell, which I agree with. I do agree with that. I would love to see that fight. That's when you see two young fighters. But he also goes on to say that, you got to go back to the old school. When you're bringing a fighter up and you start moving up your level of opposition, you need to fight more than one guy before you say you're ready. And that is so true, what Coach is saying. Back in the day, when a fighter when a fighter was learning his trade. You see, that's a whole nother thing. Back in the day, boxing was a trade. And just like, you become a carpenter or a plumber or an ironworker or whatever, you learn your trade. You become an apprentice, you learn your trade, and then, you become a full-fledged carpenter, electrician, or whatever. And the same thing was the case with boxing. Boxers used to start out, young, and they would learn how to fight, and start, getting better and better and better. Like an example, you want to learn how to fight a short guy. So they used to fight 10 short guys before they mastered fighting a shorter guy or a taller guy or a guy with a jab or a guy that's a banger, a boxer, a southpaw. Today, I know how to fight a southpaw. How many did you fight? One. Did you fight a boxer southpaw? Did you fight a banger southpaw? Did you fight a tall southpaw, a short southpaw? A southpaw that never runs out of gas? These were what old fighters used to do is they learn their trade, so they had experience fighting a southpaw. I'm using that as an example, or fighting a banger. Nowadays they boom, 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 quick. One southpaw next, tall guy next, short guy next, banger next, boxer next. And you end up with what happened with Delorme. He says that he doesn't think that Jennings is going to be a champ. You see, I look at Brian Jennings, and I see a kid that I am, and I'm sure you're rooting for him too, Coach. But I see a kid I'm rooting for, and I see a guy that can defy the odds. And most importantly, I see Jennings. First of all, his conditioning is fantastic. That's the bottom line. He's got great conditioning. The kid never seems to run out of gas. Now, his problem is he's a little small for a heavyweight. And in today's heavyweight division, you need to be a big dude, and that's going to be his problem. However, when I look at Bye-Bye Jennings, I look at a young Evander Holyfield. Same body type, same style fight. As a matter of fact, he fights. If you want to combine, if you want to look at Brian Jennings and you want to look at a combination, if somebody asked me, describe Brian Jennings to me, they want me to describe his style. You know what I would say? I would say picture Evander Holyfield's body when he first turned into a heavyweight, not now, but when he first turned into a heavyweight, when he was weighing a little over 200 pounds, and his style of fighting sprinkled in with a little bit of Michael Spinks and Michael Spinks' style. That is Bye-Bye Jennings. Bye-Bye Jennings darts in and out like Spinks did. He has this awkward style. He'll come in and deliver punches, bam, 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 and then get out of the way. He'll trade with you. He never seems to run out of gas. I don't know, man. I like the kid. I don't know. Anyway, let's do these fight results. I just told you the main event. Thomas Delorme gets knocked out. He drops to 16-1 with 12 knockouts. Luis Carlos Abreu, he improves to 34-1 with 30 knockouts. 2 minutes and 35 seconds was the official time of the stoppage in that one. On the undercard, Kareem Mayfield improved to 17-0 with a draw when he won a 10-round unanimous decision over Mauricio Herrera. It was an interesting fight. I agreed with the first score, and that's what I had it at, 96-94. I did give Mayfield a slight edge. But did you see the other scores, 98-92, 97-93? I don't know about that. But nonetheless, a win's a win. Hard hitter improves to 17-0. Like I said, Herrera drops to he's got a draw also. Herrera drops to 18-3 with 7 knockouts. In another fight that was kind of tough to score, Miguel Vasquez improved to 32 wins, 3 losses with 13 knockouts, and beat Marvin Quintero, who drops to 25 wins, 4 losses, and 21 of his wins coming by knockout. 116-112, 118-110, and Quintero won on the third card, 115-113. I think that fight could have went either way. I really do. That 118-110 score, who the hell was scoring that? Ray Charles? There's no way that it was 118-110. No way. 115-113 either way, I'll take. I'll take 115-113 for Quintero. I'll take 115-113 for Vasquez. But that's it. 118-110, come on. Unbelievable. South Wales, Joel Brunkner improved to 24-0 with 14 knockouts when he dropped and knocked out Carlos Valencia, who drops to 18-9-1. The official time was 1 minute and 40 seconds of round numero uno. It was scheduled for 8. In the welterweight division, Javier Flores improved to 8-0 when he won a decision over Albert Herrera, who drops to 8 wins, 8 losses, and a draw. 77-75 twice, 76-76 were the way the scores were. Ryan McKenzie of the Nassau, Bahamas, now living out of Canastota, New York. I got to see this guy fight once before. He's 11-0 now with 10 knockouts. When he went the distance for the first time, when he beat Eric Watkins, who drops to 7-3, 58-56, 59-55 twice were the way the judges scored it. And I wasn't at this fight. I was gonna go, but I would bet donuts to dollars that McKenzie probably should have won this fight. There's no way. I'm sorry, not McKenzie. His opponent, Eric Watkins, probably should have won this fight. The scores were probably a little out of there because he was such a local guy. Remember, he wasn't too far from minutes from where this event took place. And finally, Eric Fields improved to 21-1 when he won a 6-round decision over Kevin Franklin, who drops to 4 wins and 5 losses, 59-55, 60-54 twice. Cruiserweight, Eric Fields. I think they call him Eric Dangerfields. But let me ask you this: here's a fighter with 21 fights going into the fight, and that's Eric Fields, who was 20-1 going into the fight, and he steps in with Kevin Franklin, who was 4-4 going into the fight. So here you allow a guy with 8 pro fights taking on an undefeated, a once beaten guy with 20 wins. Unbelievable. But I guess whatever. There was an elimination fight for the IBF number 1 spot. Alejandro Lopez bested Takalani Nodolov, and what did I tell you? I always tell you when I switch my picks at the last minute. That's what happens to me, but that's exactly what happened to get my loss. Alexander Lopez improved to 23 wins, 2 losses with 7 of his wins coming by knockout. When he won a 12-round unanimous decision over Takalani Nodolov, who drops to 33-8 with 18 knockouts. The scores are 116-111 twice, and 117-112 once, and that means now Lopez is ranked at number 1 in the super bantamweight division to get a shot at the IBF champion. That was the main event. On the undercard, Abby Han improved to 18-0 with 12 knockouts when he took care of Arsenio Terrazas, who drops to 9-3. He was knocked out in the first round, but Jennifer Han got his sister Jen Han got knocked out and ended up losing a 4-round split decision. How do you get knocked down? I'm sorry, I said knocked out, but how do you get knocked down in a 4-round fight and still, get a split decision loss? Jennifer Han drops to 8 wins, 2 losses, and a draw with only 1 knockout. And Claudia Gutierrez, who got the W, she improved to 2-2, and they fight in the super featherweight division. Another fight on Saturday night. This was the Saddam Ali fight that I thought was a complete joke. Not the fight, not the card, but the fact that it was a pay-per-view. Who was stupid enough? A show of hands. I want to know who was stupid enough to pay for this fight. That's not related. Wait. You're not stupid if you're related to Saddam Ali or any other fighter on this card. But anyone who wasn't related to Saddam Ali or anyone else on this card, who bought this fight, who would have possibly paid, I don't even know what they were charging, but first of all, Who's stupid enough to offer the fight as a pay-per-view, and who's stupid enough to buy the fight as a pay-per-view? That's what I want to know. I want to know where they are, where all these people are, because this had to be one of the stupidest decisions in the sport of boxing I've ever heard. In making a fight against Saddam Ali, who has not won any title. Not that I'm putting any value in it, but this kid has never won any kind of a belt, nothing. All right, in the pros. Nonetheless, he improved to 16-0 against a late substitute. How late? Well, how about the day of the weigh-in late? Yeah, and this is New York. They let this happen, which, obviously somebody paid them off or something, because they don't normally let this kind of thing happen. But Saddam Ali has a pay-per-view, and it gets the day before the fight sub in Ronnie Warrior, and knocks him out. Surprise, surprise. 2 minutes and 59 seconds in the second round. So for everybody that did pay for that pay-per-view, I'm sure you got your money's worth. Ali improves to 16-0 with 10 knockouts, and I guess we're all on the edge of our seat wondering when Saddam Ali is going to offer us another opportunity to spend pay-per-view dollars on one of his bogus fights. In the co-main, in the cruiserweight division, Santana, the Demolition Man Salgado, improved to 22-0 when he won an 8-round decision over another late sub, Joel Godfrey, who was 15-9-1, 80-72, 79-73, 78-74, all in the favor of Salgado. And 2 last-minute subs in the state of New York, unbelievable, unbelievable. It was crazy stuff. In a fight that I had a good feeling. Coach says, yeah, well, Godfrey was there for a payday. What kind of a payday could he have possibly have gotten for that fight? I mean, that's a joke of this whole backdrop of this pay-per-view. Who's paying everybody? I know Saddam Ali was the promoter, the fighter. He was selling beer. He was parking cars. He was doing it all. But I mean, realistically, there was no money. There was no money there. You're talking about the Aviation Center. It's about the size of my living room, in Brooklyn. The pay-per-view, if he was counting on the pay-per-view sales, no. But listen, the mentality of people with pay-per-view is ridiculous at times. Some people actually think that if you just make it a pay-per-view, the true boxing fans are going to buy it no matter what. And in some cases, that's the truth. But you don't make it a pay-per-view when there's another alternative on TV. You make it a pay-per-view when you got no other choice. Maybe you buy it. I don't even know what they charged, but I don't know what kind of a payday. What he says, did you check out the economy? The economy. Well, our economy, yeah. I doubt Saddam made any money. He established a business contact with Integrated. Yeah, well, first of all, Integrated Sports, the only I know Doug well. He does a great job. And first of all, what does that have to do with anything, Coach? All he did was split the money. The way Integrated does is he sells it to the providers. But that means Saddam Ali had to lay out the money for the truck, for the satellite, for the feed, for all of that. That's no chump change, man. And he was hoping that Integrated would use his contacts to get people to buy it through television. My point is that nobody bought it. And GFL, I won't even mention GFL. GFL has ruined the sport with their bogus quality. Rocky Juarez knocks out, and this was a shocker to most people. But Antonio Escalante was supposed to come in here and get a win over a named fighter. Rocky Juarez hasn't won a fight in years, but he won on Saturday night. He knocked out Antonio Escalante. Rocky Juarez improves to 29 wins, 10 losses, and a draw with 21 knockouts. 8th round, KO was the official time when he knocked him out. Escalante drops to 28 wins, 5 losses with 19 knockouts. Took place in Texas, and also on the undercard, featherweight Julian Ramirez improved to 5-0 when he dropped and stopped Steven Gutierrez, who drops to 4 wins, 2 losses, and a draw in their scheduled 6-round fight, I believe, or 8-round fight. It was didn't get past the 5th. So, also a guy that was supposed to win who did win in the super featherweight division, Sergio Thompson improved to 25 wins, 2 losses, with 23 of his wins coming by knockout when he got his 23rd knockout when he stopped Luis Armando Juarez Saturday night in Mexico. Juarez drops to 16-6-2 with 4 knockouts in for his fight. Now he gets a shot he's close to getting a shot against Diaz, who's a world champion WBC. Co-main event was Roberto Ortiz. He improved to 27 wins and a draw with no losses when he made a defense of his silver belt from the WBC. 12-round unanimous decision over Jay Hearn Carlo Asparcio. Asparcio drops to 23-5 with 7 knockouts, 120-107, 120-108, 119-108 was the way the 3 judges scored that one. And finally, unbeaten junior featherweight Tomiki Kamada improved to 25-0 when he stopped Javier Franco in the 5th round. Franco drops to 21-10-1. Also on that card, Robert Manzarraz knocked out Pedro Garcia in the super lightweight division, and Cesar Cida won an 8-round decision over Luis May in the super bantamweight division. Chop Chop Corley, we were talking about him fighting Thomas Delorme. He had back-to-back huge wins to get his career jump-started again, even though he still owes me money. But Chop Chop Corley, 38 years old now, his upset victories, his upset run, his possible road to making a payday, all ended in the Ukraine on Saturday night when he lost a 12-round decision to Victor Postol. Victor Postol improves to 20 wins, no losses, 9 of his wins coming by knockout. The way the judges scored it, 118-110 twice, 117-113. With the way the judges saw that one. 39 wins, 20 losses, and a draw is Chop Chop's new record. So hopefully that's the end of him, but you never know. In another fight on that card, WBA cruiserweight champ, or I should say interim cruiserweight champ. How many WBA interim champs did they got? I thought in the cruiserweight division, isn't Ledebev one too? But anyway, WBA interim cruiserweight champ Steve Herlanis improved to 23 wins, 3 losses, and a draw when he got stopped by unbeaten Dimitro Kusher, who improved to 19-0 with 15 knockouts. So, I'm sorry, it was former cruiserweight champion. I didn't read my own writing, but I'm trying to catch some of the. I'm trying to catch some of the chat room here, and Murphy's in here. He's saying that yes, the aviation center in Brooklyn is small. George, our man George, says it's like a movie theater. He says, I bet Saddam lost his money. He says that's how businesses start, at the bottom. Obviously, Coach is being supportive. I agree with that. I mean, you got to invest money to make money. I just think he made a huge mistake with making that a pay-per-view. I'm sure he wanted to get it out there, and maybe if he would have did a quality webcast, and offer it for free, he would have had a lot more recognition to build a base for his business, his future promotion company. I know he owns a gym, but the greed factor, you know what pisses me off? In boxing, it's the only business that people expect to get an immediate return on. You know, Saddam Ali is a great example. Yeah. They're all saying, oh, well, he comes from money. He's got, he's smart, he's young, he's this, he's that. I agree with all that stuff. Great stuff. Great. But who the hell is he to demand a pay-per-view when nobody's even heard of Saddam Ali outside of Brooklyn? You know, the truth of the matter is if he was smart, as smart as you think he is, then maybe he should have, taken the same show that he had, same location, the whole nine, and put it on a quality webcast like LDL TV, put it out there for free and get as many people as possible to watch it. Then go back to Brooklyn Aviation Center and show the numbers of your viewership, sell some expensive advertising if you can, build it up again, get another free webcast in, build up your numbers even more, and then come back with a pay-per-view. You know, if you do it that way, the return on the third fight on a pay-per-view will well exceed what you invested in the two free broadcasts versus out of the gate offering a pay-per-view. Whether you like it, the idea or not, it's proven. It works. So with the bottom line is that, by being greedy, by trying to make the money out of the gate like he tried, now you're going to turn people off. So, everybody's going to say, every time they see Saddam Ali, they're going to assume that it's going to be for a pay-per-view, or they're going to assume it's going to be on a crap webcast or something, So I don't know, man. I don't know. Coach says, what demand? That's called choice or freedom. Okay. Yeah, he's got the freedom and he's got the choice to do it. You're right. He does. Good luck. Good luck, Saddam. Good luck, Saddam Ali. We'll see how you make out, man. See how you make out. Christian Mahares, he improved to 47 wins, 6 losses, and a couple of draws with 21 of his knockouts when he stopped Rafael Marquez in the ninth round. Rafael Marquez drops to 41 wins, 8 losses with 37 of his W's come by knockout. Featherweight fight took place in Mexico City. 10,000 fans showed up, but they weren't really there for Mahares. They were there for Rafael Marquez in the new arena. It was going into the 8th round. The fight was fairly close, 76-74, 77-74, and 76-75. Well, 76-75 was for Marquez, and the other two scores were for Mahares. Going into the that was the end of the 8th round. Going into the 9th, Marquez was stopped. So earlier on that card in the flyweight and super flyweight division, former champ Ed Gasosha improved to 47 wins, 7 losses with 28 wins coming by knockout when he won a 10-round majority decision over Mai Hong Lee, who dropped to 15 wins, 3 losses with 5 knockouts. 96-94 twice. One judge had it even at 95-95. My man, the Italian European super featherweight champ Devis Bashario improved to 32 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw when he retained his belt when he won a 12-round decision over Antonio Di Vitis. And Di Vitis is 25 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw right now. All three judges scored it the same, 119-111. In the female division, for the vacant WBC interim title, which is such a crock of shit, Renata Cizabalati improved to improved to 16 wins, 9 losses, with 10 of her wins coming by knockout when she upset former world champion Samoza Galassi, by knocking her out in the 3rd round. She gets the IBF. This was a rematch for the WBC interim female belt. And they're saying in my notes here a IBF super flyweight belt, but I think it was either it was the vacant flyweight belt or it was the interim flyweight belt for either the WBC or IBF. There's so many belts. I mean, come on. Galasian drops to 17-2. And Gamaliel Diaz improves to 37 wins, 9 losses with a couple of draws with 17 knockouts, and became the new WBC super featherweight champ when he beat Takahiro Oi, who drops to 23 wins, 3 losses, and a draw on Saturday in Tokyo. Also on that card, Anak Hongonchem and Glenn Rick Crocker had a fight that went back and forth, and we got I'm sorry, that I can't even read my own writing. One of the I'll get to that in a second, but we had one of the challenges that were on the Billy C Challenge was a female fight that was pretty obscure. It took place on Friday, and the winner was where is that fight? Here it is. Amesha beat Dienhai in Germany to win the WBF Intercontinental Flyweight Female Championship. She improves to 14-0 with a draw. And Dejena is now 14-15. So, hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I got a couple of Friday fights. That one was on a Saturday. Got a couple of Friday fight results. I got some boxing news to talk about. And still getting ready for Sandy to show up and blow up the studio here.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the number 1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's in some net, coming at you on the count of 1.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. And you watch this on the Fight Now television channel. And if you want some more information about the channel, go visit their website, www.fightnow.com. Murphy just made a comment in the chat room, and that's my whole point. The mentality of pay-per-views, whether they're $79.95 or whether they're $4.95. The bottom line is it's proven, statistics show, that just because you price a pay-per-view, whether it's on the internet or what, cheap, doesn't mean people are going to say, oh, well, you know what, it's only $4.95, I'm going to buy it. It's only $9.99, I'm going to buy it. No, man. No. And number one, internet. Nobody wants to pay anything up for the internet. Nobody wants to pay anything that you get on the internet. I mean, it was just, the internet was for free when it first hit the scene, and there's other ways of making money on the internet, but charging people for it, isn't going to be it. Now, that's a contradiction myself because, we have a premium podcast, but it's not like you can listen to the show only there. What we charge for is convenience. And I suppose you could say, well, I'm going to watch this pay-per-view on TV. It's a convenience for me to pay for it here and sit in my living room than it is to go, drive to Brooklyn and watch the fight. Okay, that's cool. Whatever. I just find it funny. That's all. There was a fight. Speaking of funny, there was a kind of a comical fight card that took place in New Mexico over the weekend, Saturday. And check it out. It's an extensive fight ringside coverage by our very own Austin Colleen. One fighter of note on the card, my girl. I love this girl. Victoria Cisneros. She was on the card, and she came out. I believe successful. Yes, she knocked out DJ Morrison to improve to 7 wins and 13 losses. 1 second of the 5th round. Apparently, she battered her opponent. But the fight of the night was Christian Cabral. Improved to 4 wins, no losses, and a draw. When he got his controversial 6th-round draw with Michael Coco Gallegos, who is 0-10 with a draw. So we'll see what happens. And my man Austin says, make no mistake, Gallegos is the best 0-10 fighter he's ever saw. I can't believe that his record was 0-10 leading into this fight. All I could say is read his write-up, but Coach, man, Coach is saying, Saddam said that he was using a pay-per-view to spread his name. Well, then, you know what? Maybe he's not as smart as I thought he was. When you want to spread your name, you think it's better to spread it as a pay-per-view than it is to give it away? I mean, if he's trying to look for just PR, yeah, he's right. He's got me talking about him, so he's right. But I'm talking in a negative sense. If you want to use, the internet, and I think that's a very intelligent move to use the internet to spread the word, but the way to do it is to give it to people. Then they'll do it. Then they'll watch it. Then they'll talk about it. He made a huge mistake. Whoever advised him to make that fight a pay-per-view definitely made a mistake. Definitely. Because that is going to counter him big time. I think. It's going to counter it. So, but in any event, whatever. We'll see what happens. Dave Murphy's even saying, I got to admit, I'm disappointed with the way online webcasts have progressed. I thought we'd be way beyond where we are now. It's a slow process. You know why? Because of greed, man. You see, here's the thing. I'm speaking on this because I'm involved in it, all right? LDL TV, who rebroadcasts our show, and yes, I'll admit, I'm biased to LDL TV, so I'm going to admit that right off the bat. However, the company, the president of that company, John Muscionis, is a guy that set up his whole company to do boxing video production. That means he's not a guy that's used to doing soccer games, or not a guy used to doing baseball or football or whatever. He's not a guy with a little handheld BS camera. He's not a guy with a high-speed internet laptop that he wants a webcam. No, he set it up with all high-definition stuff, and he's got camera jigs and everything else that are positioned a certain way to get the best feed, to get the best camera shot. He has backup feeds. He requires certain speed of those feeds for webcasts and everything else. So there is a difference. When you watch his productions, what you're watching is something like you're seeing on television. End of story. I agree with Murphy that, today we see too many webcasts that have one camera shot on the ring, a fixed camera shot on the ring, and that's it. You got bogus commentary going on, if any commentary. You're getting a terrible stream and all of that stuff. So just like Murphy said, they haven't progressed the way I wished. That's the general mentality. That's the thought process, because most of us watch that crap and we say, this is a webcast. So when you see the choice, webcast or television pay-per-view, you know what I take whenever I can is I take the television. I don't want a choppy feed. I don't want it freezing. I don't want to have to reboot my computer. I don't want to keep doing that. And Murphy's right. That's the illusion that we have, even though it's incorrect. There's a lot of quality webcasts out there, but guess what? You can't do it like that 3-letter site. Can't do it like that, because what they do is they lie. They tell everybody how many buys they get. They don't get. Talk to any promoter that has went to them and talked to them and get the truth, if they'll admit it, how many buys they got. All right, if they can do, I'll tell you right now, Saddam Ali's pay-per-view fight on the internet, if it was even on the internet, I didn't think it was. I thought it was just on television pay-per-view. I would bet that they didn't even break 100 buys. I would say that they probably got 40 buys on the internet, 40. And if you think I'm exaggerating, go check it out. You know, the biggest, you want to know something? I'll give you some statistics right now. The biggest non-major fight, which maybe you can even call it a major, but the biggest fight to ever get in boxing on the internet, pay-per-view, and I'm not talking about a simulcast with Chavez and everything else. I'm talking a by yourself, no other opportunity but on the internet webcast. The biggest one to date was Roy Jones Jr., all right? And so that's not surprising, right? But here's what is. Guess how many buys he had? Guess how many buys he had? You would think thousands, right? If I told you under 500, would you think I was lying? Well, I got news for you. It was under 500. And if you don't believe me, check what Ustream. Check what Ustream. That's Roy Jones Jr. That's a guy with a name. So if he got under 500, what could Saddam Ali have possibly gotten on a pay-per-view buy? Forget television, because I know the company that he went with has their own connections, and I'm sure he got some television buys from somebody. I don't know. But internet buys, how many you think he got? I would bet my last dollar he did not get 100. And I'm being safe. He probably got 20. He probably got 40. He probably got 40. You know, and that's and Murphy's saying, right, it's a webcam. It is a webcam because that's what they do. Listen, I was at Mohegan Sun one time, and you know they're doing a webcast back to Poland, and you know what they had? They had a guy with a handheld camera with an internet wire plugged into it on the end of a stick, and he was holding it like this, doing this. This is how he was getting the camera feed. He's doing this. You know, and upstairs they had Vinny Pazienza doing the commentating. That basically they were having someone else do it in Polish when they sent it back to Poland. It was a Moritz Wach fight. So you know that's why people have the misconception. You want to see a quality webcast, which incidentally will be the future. You know what? Let me just say this. My background is in IT, and I'll tell you right now. The way we talk about television and internet and you know handheld devices and all that stuff, it's all going to be the same within a couple of years. You know, we're not going to look at the internet as the internet. It's just going to be how we get stuff. It's all going to be internet. Why wouldn't it be? Why would we have multiple platforms to get entertainment, whether it be boxing or baseball or movies or sitcoms or news shows? Why would we want to go to either our phone, the television set, the internet? Why would we want to do that? Let's be real, people, especially people my age and older. I mean, come on, man. This isn't the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. You know, this is technology, man. And the bottom line is we want one source. And you know what that source is? What we call today the internet is that source. It's just what we called it, and we're stuck on it. You know, it's not going to even be defined like that. You know, it cracks me up. You look at television right now, and you got, satellite dish. You want to go to a satellite dish? You want to go to a cable company? What's your choice? Well, guess what? Don't you realize that the cable companies actually get their feed from a satellite? And then the satellite gets pumped through the cable company, through the cable channels, you know, through the wire to your television set. So I mean, you know, ultimately everything is going to all be done through satellite. Same thing with the internet. So I mean, it's all relative. It's all relative. Anyway, jacked up today for sure. Check out Austin's column. There's a couple of fights. I told you about the female fight Friday night. We had unbeaten lightweight Jorge Masonet improved to 10-0 at 9 knockouts when he beat Ramesses Gill, who drops to 9-4. 1 minute and 32 seconds was when that stoppage took place in the first round. They're calling this his most impressive win to date. Well, he's got 10 fights, and Ramesses Gill is 9-4. The co-main event was Eduardo Laboy, and Laboy improved to 5-0. When he beat Jonel Neves, who was also undefeated. He drops to 4-1. That sounded like a good one. And up in Canada, Derry Jean improved to 23-0 with 15 knockouts when he stopped his opponent Ivan Cano at 1 minute and 21 seconds of the 11th round out of Montreal. Cano drops to 21-5, and Derry Jean improves to 23-0. So some great fights this weekend. You know, we had some interesting stuff. But listen. Oh man, don't even get me. Don't even get me started. I'm not even going to mention the name that my main man coach. About what he just mentions a name. It has to do with the election. The thing is that it's not that I have anything against Saddam Ali. It's the point that what I'm so sick and tired of is boxing fans being fleeced, and the greed factor in this sport is like no other. Now, that doesn't mean I expect fighters and promoters and managers to do it all for nothing. I've never suggest that in a million years. I believe everyone should deserve to make a living, a legitimate living. And I'm not against it at all. But you can't be a fighter that's got 16 fights under your belt, 15 fights, whatever he's got. I don't care if you do have more money than God. It doesn't matter, man. You can't expect to do it. He could have saved his money and taken out television ads about himself and get more PR than he would have pay-per-view. So unbelievable. And the bottom line is this. I don't have anything against fights in New York. It's the New York State Commission I don't like. Because they're bullies and they're not consistent. And most of them are unqualified. I saw a shot of the New York State Commissioner standing there with that same stupid look on her face, like she's wondering what's going on in the world, let alone what's happening in front of her. Yes, Fight Now TV had the Broadway boxing event last week. They broadcast it live, and they are going to be replaying it. So anyway, well, that's that. Guys, I'm in one of these moods. But did you hear back in April, former WBC middleweight champ Sebastian Zabik has apparently filed a lawsuit against Universum Box Promotions because he's never gotten his money from the fight that he fought with Felix Sturm in April. 245 big ones. That's 245,000 for you guys. He's has not received any of his money yet. You see, that's another thing, man. It's another black eye for the sport. Here we got pay-per-views for fighters that got 15 fights under their belt, and then you got fighters that are former world champions who don't get paid by promoters. We're talking greed. We're talking chicanery. We're talking dastardly deeds is what we're talking. That kind of stuff. I can't stand it. It's like the slime ball from the Whitehall Athletic Club who tried to pretend he was a promoter and doesn't pay anybody after he gets bullied by the New York State Athletic Commission and they all run scared a week. See, that's what the New York Commission does. That's my hang up with them. But anyway, talk about a good fight. How about J.C. Candelero against Fernando Guerrero? J.C. Candelero is a tough guy. 32 wins, 11 losses, 4 draws is his record. But, I got news for you. Fernando Guerrero is in for a tough fight. He's still trying to get his act together. He's 24-1 right now. That's taking place this weekend. That's a fight that maybe you may find on our Billy C Challenge. I will be announcing the winner of October. We will have that announced later this week. So, anyway. I was asking Coach about the weather. He's in Long Island. He lives in Long Island. I was just curious to know if it's raining yet in Long Island. It's not raining up here yet. Alvin Calderon is reporting that he may consider retiring. It looks like he may make his announcement as early as this afternoon. He was a strawweight king, 105 pounds and 108 pounds for the longest time. He's 37 years old right now. Hasn't been too successful in his last 4 or 5 fights. 35 wins now, 3 losses and a draw. He's only has 6 knockouts. He fought for 11 years. His last fight, he got stopped in October 6th, when he was trying to get Moses Fuentes' title, which used to be his. So it looks like he's going to be calling it a day. I hope so. Nothing against Ivan Calderon. It's just that I don't like to see these fighters hang on too long. Coach K has given me his Doppler report. He says the winds are up. I have my sail on my car in case the electric goes out and I can't get gas. You better batten down the hatches. Long Island is supposed to get a hit. Long Island and New York City is supposed to get a hit the worst out of everything. I'm hoping it kind of goes off to the west and misses us, but we're still going to get rain. Chances are, if we're abruptly not on the air tomorrow or the next day, it's because of flood and power outages that we are expecting here with the bitch hurricane Sandy. The younger sister of Irene, who made her impact here on the Billy C Studios up in last year. So we got our fingers crossed that I won't be sitting in a puddle of water like I did for a month or last year. But Vitaly Klitschko didn't make out too well in his election. Apparently he finished third. He says, they're still getting accounts, but 12 to 15% of the seats in Sunday's election, placing him third overall. He says we must still analyze everything. Now, I think that means he doesn't win. I don't know what their governmental situation is, but it sounds like, it sounds like he lost. He's, my notes here says that, he told the Associated Press, the champion will continue to head the party in Ukraine parliament and work to establish a coalition with the other opposition parties. As far as whether he will fight again, that will remain seen. So I don't know, man. Does it mean he won? Does it mean, he lost? I don't know, man. It sounds, hopefully our, I know our presidential election isn't going to go the way I want. I know it is. So. Makes me sick. So, but I know one thing: somebody wins and somebody loses. That's it. You don't finish. They're not going to say so and so finished in second this year in our presidential election. I remember, what does it say? Finishing second just means that you're the first loser to cross the finish line. I'm trying to remember who said that. There's nothing good. I think the statement was, "There's nothing good about finishing second." Finishing second only means that you're the first loser to cross the finish line. It's true, though, right? It's true. Eric Morale is looking to retire as well. Two-time world champion in a couple different divisions. Eric Morale, 46 wins, 4 losses, 23 coming by knockout. He's made it official. He's retired, and congratulations to him. What a stellar career Eric Morale had. So we'll be looking for that. So a couple of fights that we're talking about having on the challenge this week, just so it's an FYI for you. Lucien Boutte, of course, and Grachov, Dennis Grachov. That's going to be a fight that will definitely be on there, as will the co-main event, as long as it's still on. I got to double-check Pierre-Olivier Cote against Ali Chiba. That's a good fight right there. November 3rd, so we'll be looking for that one. Also, Marco Captain Huck, one of my favorite fighters of today in the cruiserweight division, of course. He is fighting Arslan Arslan, and that's going to be taking place this weekend. You could bet your bottom dollar that fight's going to be on there. Also, we will also have the. I'm thinking we're going to put. Last week I was trying to remember, and I was right. Samson Boxing, Samson Lukowitz, Samson Boxing. They had just signed David Saucedo, and Saucedo is another Argentine fighter, and that looks like that fight. He's going to be getting back into the ring November 3rd on an undercard of Cecilia Columelejas, who's going to be on there. So. We will see what goes on with that. So those are a couple of fights, 3 or 4 fights that we're going to have on our challenge. I'll get the rest of them tomorrow, as a matter of fact, if we have power. And I believe Coach, I'm not, was it Coach that just said it? I thought he said something else, but if he could replace Ledebev, I don't know. But we'll see what happens. Some great comments in the chat room today. It all got me. Everybody got me started today. Everybody got me going today. I'm in a bad mood with the Jets. The Jets look like a couple of girls, a whole girls softball team playing football yesterday. And then I had to watch the Giants do the opposite, which is sickening. And then I had to read an email from one of a guy that claims he's a longtime listener, but then doesn't have a clue of how we work our ranking system, and was critical of my feeling towards Nonito Donaire, which I think I got it right on. Murph didn't even hear it, but the bottom line is, what? Manny Seward's sister had the Kronk gym taken down? Why, man? I don't understand about that. Forget about it, Billy C. I'm not forgetting about nothing, hanging fire. Kiev is a big city. If he runs, then it's a major player. Yeah, he ran, but he finished third. So what does that mean? What does that mean? I don't get it. Am I missing something? Is it the wrong? Was it just like a preliminary? Was it like a wow. Murphy saying, Manny Stewart's sister had everything taken out of the gym, and they had the door. They have a parliament. So it's like he finished third, so now he's got a seat. Is that what it is? I see. I thought that it was like he was going for an election, sort of like Manny Pacquiao did, and. So he made it then. So he won. Okay, good. So congratulations to I had to be educated from my man hanging fire. And as luck would have it, he's a governmental guy, a United States governmental guy. So he's straightening me out. So I'm taking his word. Sounds good. So congratulations to my man Klitschko for getting a seat, I guess. So that's good. That's good, man. Wow, Murphy saying the fighters living in his house were thrown out. His sister kicked them all out. Wow. What happened to his wife? I know he was married. How come his sister's running a type ship? Kicked all the fighters out. You mean like Andy Lee, too? I thought that was like his son. Man, I guess, you know what? I guess they were, they have a right to be pissed off the way people were nailing his coffin shut before he was even dead, the poor guy. It was terrible. It really was. The whole scene was terrible. I mean, so fast, and we really lost out on a great guy that should have been with us a lot longer. That's for sure, Manny Stewart. But anyway, that's surprising, But I'm being informed by Dave Murphy in the chat room that Sugar Hill, his nephew, is going to take over the gym. What happened with Jonathan Banks? I know he's over there with Vlad, and oh God, what a terrible situation for everything. But anyway, for everybody listening in the path of Sandy, the hurricane, be safe. Don't be stupid if they're telling you to evacuate. Get the hell out, man. There's no sense. Nothing's worth it. Just preserve yourself, and then go back and rebuild like we're gonna have to do later in the week.
Wake up. It's time for the It's Too Early for a Trivia Question.
Just coughed all over myself. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question is being brought to us by Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Hopefully they'll be okay and safe. If you need to get a hold of them, give them a call, 718-797-2872. That's 718-797-2872, or you can get to them by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the Gleason's Gym banner. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question. The prize on the line is going to be a commemorative phone card that was issued in the 1990s, courtesy of Pugilistica.com, and it features Rocky Marciano with his famous disfiguring knockout punch over Jersey Joe Walcott. Sorry, James Curl. You know why I keep saying that, right? Because if you didn't order James Curl's book yet, the hell are you waiting for? He's got a new book out on Jersey Joe Walcott. So you can check it out. Drop me an email if you want me to hook you up with him. But it's on the line for the first person to get our question right. And my man, Coach, you must have a bunch of these, huh? You got to email me the correct answer, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. The question is, who was known as Grease Lightning? Who was known as Grease Lightning? Right, I'm going to give you the big hint. I'm going to give you the big hint. Well, you know what? I'm going to give you a small hint first. I'm going to give you a small hint. Oh, that's a hint in itself. He was a former world champion. And I just slipped and gave you another hint. So, former world champion who was known as Grease Lightning. Email me the correct answer. The first person that gets it wins the collector's edition phone card. We only have 3 left. It's very rare. Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com is where you email your answer. Who was known as Greased Lightning? Good luck to everybody with that.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099 is the number. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you, and that I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. That's right, 845-221-4099. On this day, October 29th in 1963, Eddie Cotton wins a 15-round decision over Henry Frank to win the vacant Michigan World Light Heavyweight title. That's right. It was, at this time, a lot of people, actually it was even before that, but a lot of states had their own world titles when, we thought we had a lot of belts now. But this was the vacant Michigan World Light Heavyweight title, and it took place on this day, October 29th, in 1963, in Flint, Michigan. And I think that's the same Eddie Cotton that is a referee today. I'm pretty sure that is. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. Hey, listen, in a serious note, this hurricane that's hitting the East Coast is a serious situation for anybody that's in the path of Hurricane Sandy. Do the right thing. Be safe. Help others when you can, and do what you got to do. You'll be able to rebuild, just like we're going to have to. But it's going to happen, and they're calling it the Frankenstorm, and it's hitting beginning today. So hang tight, batten down the hatches, and try to tune in tomorrow, okay? I do have one more thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call. For all information about Fight Now, you can visit their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.